and join me as I show you how to do this RightWay bracelet. I love the diversity of this because we have so many cool Potomac Pick beads that you can really use anything to do this design. If you want to see the exact materials, go ahead and look below the video. In the description, we'll put links there to get back to our site. Gather them up and let's get started. So I did this design during one of our live sessions on YouTube with Anna, and we were creating with these beads that were included in the treasure box for October. And I thought in my head, this is a great one to show you that you can really use any materials using that simple right angle weave and coming back through the design. So we are going to be using some oval beads, 8/0s, just a couple 11s, and some 4mm beads. I have size 8 gray dragon thread on here, and I have a size 10 beading needle. So nice and big, and I've stuck a stop bead at the end of about 4 feet of the thread. We're gonna begin with right angle weave. And I'm gonna use a series of 4mm bicones here in this beautiful, beautiful emerald AB color. I love these nice ocean tones. And we're putting on 4 of our bicones. And after each bicone is going an 8/0 seed bead. We're then going to pull this into a right angle weave design. So to go through the right angle, we're going to go through bead number 1, through bead number 2, and out bead number 3 of our bicones. At the same time going through those 8/0 seed beads. That gives a nice start to our right angle weave and opens us up to create more on top of it. From here, we're going to go in and add our oval bead. Now you can see in the sample piece here, I had a 12mm bead. This one's 11 by 10, and I'm going to stick it lengthwise. You can do either way, really. It's kind of up to you. What I'm going to do is grab 1, 2, and 3, and 4 of my 8/0 seed beads. Grab my first oval bead. 4 more of my 8/0 seed beads. And surprisingly, this is also right angle weave. So you're coming out of the rightmost bead from the first right angle unit, where you have all those right angles, and we're coming out the bottom of the right hand bead. We added a bottom, which is going to be our 4 seed beads, a new right bead, which is our oval, and 4 more seed beads for the top. Go back into that bicone that your thread is originally coming out of, and that gets our oval in place. Now you'll see a little bit of extra thread. Don't worry, we're going to come back and add a crystal there. From here, just like we got to the right side of that right angle weave, we're going to go through those bottom seed beads, and we are going to make our thread and needle come out through our rightmost bead, which in this case is our oval. From here now, we're going to basically repeat that same right angle weave design. 1, 2, 3, 4 beads are going to go for the top. Then we're going to do another bicone for our right of our box. 4 more beads go on the bottom, and we're coming back up through the oval that our thread is currently coming out of. Once you pull that, go down through the top beads, which were our 8/0 seed beads, and out through the rightmost bead, which is, once again, our bicone. You can see how this fits nicely, but you still have a little bit of a gap there. Like I said, don't worry about it. We're going to add a bicone coming in. From here, repeat the design. We're coming out the bicone. I'm going to add an 8/0, another crystal, 8/0 to separate them out, another crystal for the right-hand side, 8/0, another crystal for the top of my box, and another 8/0 to balance it out. So you end up with 3 of your 8s along with the 3 crystals. So 4 8s, 3 crystals in between each. And then you're going to sew back through the bead that your thread is currently coming out of, and that's going to add another right angle unit. From here, go over to the right side through the bottom beads, which are an 8, the 4mm, and the 8. Tighten up your thread and needle, and I want you to come out the rightmost bead, which is going to be that 4mm bicone. From here, you're going to repeat this same exact pattern, adding 4 beads, your oval 4 beads, going back around through the whole length of your bracelet. Once you have the base of your bracelet made here, you're going to go in and put your button on if you want to, or another clasp. I'm coming out of my last 4mm bicone, and I've added 1 8/0 along with 3 11/0s. I'm going to add my button first, and this is a beautiful jet full AB. And at the top here, I'm going to add an 11, one of my 8s, and 11. Go down through the second pole of the cup button. 1, 2, 3 11-ohs, followed by one of my 8-ohs, go on my thread and needle. And then I'm starting back into that same 4mm bead. Now we're going to be coming back down the project, but we're not coming back to this end. So I'm going through right now and I am reinforcing this cup button end, going through it a total of 3 times. So we're looping around, not adding any more beads. I'm just going in here, back through that crystal 3 times. Back down through those seed beads and back up through the cup button. And back down through. And then once you come out here, we're going to get ready to add our additional crystals around the right angle unit. So just like we have been doing through that bicone, then after we come out through that bicone, go down through your beads along the side here, out through your crystal. So retrace your right angle weave steps, up through your 4 beads here. And then we're ready to do our additional beads along the top of the right angle units as well as on the top of the ovals. So I framed in the first one here, but we're coming out the same. We're going to do the same thing just so you can see how that framing works. We're coming out the top of our 4 seed beads. We're going in and adding a 4mm crystal, going back through the crystal on the right hand side there, or left hand side rather, through the beads as we circle around, adding in another bicone to cover up that thread ends and the gap on the bottom here. If you have different size crystals, you can always add one of your 11-ohs in. Going through those seed beads again. That finishes up the oval portion here. Now what we need to do is go back through that right angle weave through this crystal one more time. After you're through the crystal one more time, going through the seed beads at the top one more time. Through the crystal up top there. You can see I'm kind of twisting it in my hands as I work with it. Down through the seed beads. And then once again out through that bicone. When I'm out through that bicone, we're going to expand and decorate with extra crystals up top as well. So we're going to use 1 11-oh, 2 8-ohs, 1 crystal, followed by 2 8-ohs and 1 11-oh. So that is your series there. 11 2 8s, 4 2 8s, 11. You're going to go into the bicone that sits on the opposite end of this right angle weave unit and out. When you're out along the bottom here, guess what? You're doing the same thing again. So just like we did the top, you're doing the same thing to frame out the bottom. And I love this bracelet design because it is so incredibly versatile. So if you don't have the 8s, use some 11s and just figure out your count. If you don't have the 11s, use some 15s. Going back then to that first bicone on the left-hand side and up through that to decorate the bottom here and add a little bling. Back through your first grouping of your beads that you've added. Down and out through that bicone. And just through the bicone. It's going to want to go through the 11. And then once again, starting over, going in to add your bicone on top here, spinning all the way around, and just continuing to add some volume onto that right angle weave. And I want to show you what this looks like too on the wrist. It's a great size. I love that you can use any bead really in the interior, and you might just need to change the count slightly if you use something bigger than an 11 or a 12, or smaller as well. You can just go in, do the same count with an 8mm bead and 11-ohs. Once you're done adding your crystals to the bottom and to the top, it is time to do your loop for your button to go into. So coming out the last bicone, which is right on the opposite side of the stop bead, I want you to add 1 8-oh followed by 2 11-ohs, followed by 1 more 8-oh, and then 26 11-oh seed beads. So got that? 1 8, 2 11s, 1 8, 26, or 28. It doesn't really matter. I want you to come back down through that same 8-oh seed bead, the second one, and sewing down towards the project. That makes your loop for your button. From here, 1 and 2 more 11-ohs, 1 more 8-oh seed bead, and then into the opposite side of that bicone. Just like we did on the button side then, we want to reinforce this loop, so you're going back up through all the seed beads that you just added. If you want to, you can even do a fun peyote stitch loop, but this is a really great intro bracelet where you can just put that thread and needle to work. And then when we get to the very end, because we're right near that stop bead, after we go through and reinforce this with 3 threads through the end, you just tie off the thread ends together. So really, really great, simple starter bracelet, and a great way to use up some of your stock that might be just kind of laying around. When you come down here, just like we did on the button on the opposite side, number 1, just kind of move your beads around, make sure you didn't miss any. Go down through the 11s on the side and the 8-0. Again, you're right next to that stop bead. Go through that last bicone. And you'll notice I did not decorate the start or the end. I kept that into the middle. You can choose to decorate that if you want. I just thought it helped to kind of go in and taper it towards the end. This would also look gorgeous with a beautiful infinite clasp on with a nice Rivoli center, or even with a beautiful Czech glass bead in the middle of the cabochon. Going through then, once we get all of these threads through, this is my last go round here. I'm just gonna again take off that stop bead, tie those 2 thread ends together, and burn them down to finish off this project. Again, the reason that this project is so awesome is because just change up the counts really simply. See what fits. It's really flexible, easy to go, and a great way to show just kind of that simple embellishment of what you may not even realized was right angle weave, going in through those sides and out through the bottom, creating those right angle units in the middle, and continuing with the right angle as we added beads to the top and the bottom of the design. Once again, those beads are now at the same spot. Usually a stop bead you can pull off. If you have trouble pulling it off, put a needle on the opposite end, or just kind of grab in a different spot. It means that your hand's usually on the thread. Pull that away from the project. Let's see, it wants to be difficult right there. I got it away enough. Pull those 2 together. Make that loop go down past the stop bead there. Tie once, tie twice. I still have my thread and needle on. If you want to separate it a little bit, you can take your needle and thread down through the project a little bit, and then burn off your thread ends in different places so you don't have 2 pieces of balled up thread. That's it, and you can see how pretty this design is. You could also do this as a necklace, a pair of earrings, and again, change up those beads and have fun with what you put in the center, making it a fun focal design. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this RightWay's bracelet. It is really simple to change out any materials or size seed beads, and I can't wait to see photos of yours in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Remember, if you haven't yet, also hit that subscribe, and any details of any products that you need, look below the video in the description. We'll put a link there back to our site so you can check out all of these beautiful Potomac Pick beads that could go great in the center. Remember also that when you subscribe, you get notified because you don't want to miss anything. Thanks so much, Potomac Beaders, for watching, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.